When we look at football today, whether it's the NFL or the Premier League, players earning tens or even hundreds of millions feels normal. Patrick Mahomes with $500 million, Cristiano Ronaldo with contracts worth more than some companies. But rewind the clock, and money in football was a very different story. In fact, the first players to break into millionaire territory didn't just change their own lives, they changed the way we think about sport, money, and fame. Let's start in the NFL. The league began in 1920, and in those early decades, players were barely scraping by. In the 1940s and 50s, most players had second jobs in the off-season, selling cars, working construction, even running farms, because football wages alone weren't enough. For many, the NFL wasn't a career, it was a seasonal job. The first real shift came in the 1960s, when stars like Johnny Unitas and Jim Brown started demanding higher pay. Jim Brown, the Cleveland Browns legend, was making around $60,000 a year in the mid-60s. Impressive for the time, but nowhere near a fortune. Still, it set the stage. The NFL Players Association, formed in 1956, began fighting for contracts that could support players beyond just survival. The title of the NFL's first millionaire player often goes to Joe Namath. Drafted in 1965, Namath turned down the NFL's St. Louis Cardinals to sign with the upstart AFL's New York Jets for an unheard-of $427,000 over 3 years. Adjusted for inflation, that's millions today. But the real milestone came in 1975, when Namath signed another deal that officially pushed his career earnings past the million mark. For the first time, an American football player wasn't just an athlete. He was a millionaire celebrity with endorsement deals, nightclub appearances, and media fame. From there, salaries started climbing. In the 1980s, O.J. Simpson and Terry Bradshaw joined the millionaire ranks. In 1984, John Elway signed a contract worth $5 million, cementing the millionaire athlete as standard. By the 1990s, quarterbacks like Troy Aikman and Brett Favre were signing contracts worth tens of millions. And today, the million-dollar threshold is so common that even special teams players, the punters and kickers, often earn 7 figures. Now let's look at English football, where the story is just as fascinating. For decades, wages were capped. From 1901 until 1961, the Football League imposed a maximum wage on players, meaning no matter how good you were, you couldn't earn above a set weekly amount. In 1961, that cap was £20 per week, which today wouldn't even cover a decent dinner in London. Players were basically working-class heroes, but not wealthy. That changed when Jimmy Hill, then chairman of the Professional Footballers Association, led a campaign to abolish the wage cap. The breakthrough came in January 1961, when Fulham's Johnny Haynes became the first £100 a week footballer. It was a national scandal. Newspapers raged that footballers were being overpaid. But it was just the beginning. The next leap forward came in the 1970s. George Best, Manchester United's superstar, wasn't just a footballer, he was a celebrity. By 1970, Best was earning over £1,000 a week with endorsements, making him one of the first football millionaires in Britain. He was famous for saying, "I spent a lot of money on booze, birds, and fast cars. The rest I just squandered." Best showed that football could create celebrity wealth. In the 1980s, players like Kevin Keegan and Trevor Francis, England's first £1 million transfer, pushed earnings higher. Francis's record-breaking move in 1979, when Nottingham Forest paid £1 million to Birmingham City, symbolized a turning point. Suddenly, million-pound fees and millionaire players were real. By the Premier League's launch in 1992, the floodgates were open. Television money transformed wages overnight. Alan Shearer's record transfer to Newcastle in 1996 came with wages that made him one of the highest-paid players in the world. And by the 2000s, David Beckham wasn't just a millionaire. He was a global brand worth hundreds of millions. So, who were the first millionaires in football? In the NFL, it was Joe Namath in the 1970s, combining contracts and endorsements. In English football, it was the end of the wage cap in the 1960s, Johnny Haynes breaking the 100 pounds per week barrier, and George Best turning stardom into fortune in the 1970s. What's striking is how controversial these numbers were at the time. Fans and newspapers called it outrageous, immoral, even dangerous for the game. But the reality is, once players became millionaires, there was no going back. It redefined football as an industry, not just a sport. Today, the million mark is so common, it hardly registers. In the NFL, even rookies sign contracts with millions guaranteed. In the Premier League, academy players who haven't yet made a senior appearance can still earn six-figure contracts. The first millionaires opened the door, and now we live in an age of billionaires. But it's worth remembering that in both leagues, millionaire status didn't just happen. It was fought for by unions, by superstar players who pushed boundaries, and by risk-taking owners who gambled on paying more. The legacy of those first millionaires is the game we see today, one where football is as much about money as it is about sport. So the next time you see Mahomes sign a $500 million deal, or a Premier League star earning £350,000 a week, remember, it all started with players like Joe Namath, Johnny Haynes, George Best, and Trevor Francis. They were the pioneers who turned footballers into millionaires and football into big business.